am Vlad St. Valentine. With me is Joey. How you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, I am great. We're gonna do a comic book from my childhood that actually is probably my favorite comic book arc of all time, and I've been dying to get to this. So I'm super excited, man. Maximum Carnage, second appearance of Carnage, or the second main storyline with Carnage in the Marvel Universe. Such a big deal. It sparked a video game, and like I remember as a little kid, like I couldn't really afford comics, so like other than just kind of you knew about superheroes. I mean, we watched the cartoons like later on when the X-Men stuff came out, but you knew about Spider-Man, you knew about Batman, you just kind of knew the general story that was out there in the world, you know. But like as far as like getting to read individual comics, that was kind of few and far between. But like even as a child, not getting to buy comic books, I knew about this story going on. And I like picked up 3 of the comics. That's all I could get out of the 14. You know, I ended up getting 3 of them. But
I actually knew about it strictly because of the video game. Because I played it on the Sega Genesis
I had it for
as
Sega
a kid.
Genesis,
Played it on that, and then I didn't actually get the comic book until.
Hold on, that's Mega Drive for you Brits. All right, go ahead.
It was Mega Drive, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was Mega Drive.
So yeah, I didn't actually read the comic book until I got the trade of it. I don't know, maybe like 15 years ago. This is actually when I actually sat and read the whole thing when I got the trade of it. And I was like, oh, I remember this video game. I was like, there's a comic book based off the video game. No, it's the other way around. But
yeah, Mac bought me the that Marvel Unlimited subscription or whatever. It's like access to like the entire Marvel archive digitally. It's like a yearly subscription that they have.
so like the DC Universe thing, but
It's for comic books.
now just for the comic books.
Yeah.
Okay. So like in this case, DC's streaming service, they've turned it to just comics.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah, because they moved all their TV and movies and stuff to HBO Max.
That's a good idea. Because honestly, like
They took all that there. So the comics only is DC.
that's kind of what I told Mac. I'm like, I appreciate this, but like, there's not much Marvel I want to go back read. I would definitely love to go back read all the Blackest Day and or Blackest Night and Brightest Day and all that good stuff. So all the Green Lantern shit. So, but DC didn't have that service at the time. But I got to reread these from my childhood, having that, you know, just go back and reread stuff. And I read the anti-venom things and basically anything with all the different symbiotes, because that's always my favorite shit. And when it comes to Marvel, anything symbiote related.
Yeah, with King of Black coming up, it's good to catch up on all those.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, King of Black's been pretty fun so far. Donny Cates is a fair to good writer, I would say. There's some stuff in here that I feel like he's trying to straddle the line between being a good writer and being an apologist for some stuff, which a lot of writers are prone to do these days. Trying to pick a point as opposed to their story. And I feel like sometimes he straddles that line a little bit. He feels like he has to put some stuff in that really just doesn't help out a whole lot.
There's some of that in this as well that I'm seeing too.
Well, okay, this has got a lot of exposition and backstory, because this is 90s comic books were heavy in that. And they really were heavy in the backstory exposition. And honestly, I was kind of grateful for it in this one, because I haven't gone and read the old ones in a while and all this other stuff. So
it's good for me because I didn't know a lot of, because they start off the bat with some like stuff going on that I had no clue about. So it's like as it progresses, they then go back and kind of answer where it started. And so that's kind of good for me, because I'm like, I don't understand what the hell's going on here at all.
So I was telling you this earlier, you know, I have like one of the few times I bought a comic book in my life. And I think that was probably, I can count before I got into high school and started having my own money and could go buy comics. I can count probably 5 times, count on one hand, the 9 times I bought a comic book as a kid or had a comic book bought for me. And one of those times was at a gas station. It's when I picked up the first appearance. It happened to be a Spider-Man comic. And I wanted the Spider-Man comic. And it just so happened to have a couple panels at the end that were the first appearance of Cletus Cassidy. And he was fighting a guy named Cardiac. But at the end, you saw Eddie Brock in a prison cell with this little redheaded guy. You didn't know who he was. And the symbiote busts in and busts him out. And the last panel is his cellmate looking at the busted out wall, and a little bit of symbiote drips towards his hand while he's holding the knife. Ends up being, a couple issues later, Carnage. And then we had the Venom and Spider-Man finally teaming up and taking him down. Here's a 3-issue story run to introduce Carnage.
That's what I need to actually check out.
And that's where we start here. Is Carnage has been locked up in some heavy duty federal institution. They moved him to Ravencroft, to basically Marvel's Arkham.
I was, it's very much like Arkham Asylum, but it was just a little bit brighter colored. Yeah,
Most Marvel is.
It's a little more whitewashed than color-wise than the Arkham is, but same difference.
Well, to be fair, they're not named after an H.P. Lovecraft, fake town, so you don't, or institution,
True.
so you don't have to be. You're
they can make it look like an actual hospital.
Yeah, it's not dedicated to looking grungy and dim the entire time automatically just by the name.
All funding is for these security guards that are
look, man. When you have to have like temples of the Dark Lord Cthulhu in your place, you're not going to have a lot of clean areas. It's all going to be kind of grungy and fish-like.
Sorry, with how much money we got to spend on repairs on the walls in this place, and how to figure out how people are getting the fuck out of here. Maybe we should, not worry about cleaning up so much.
Well,
or lighting. Yeah, we have lights
I
in here.
mean, we've kind of already established that Gotham is very loose on their security measures, with OSHA not being involved.
No one has hard hats.
You know how
nothing.
often they have to repair the fucking jail doors and the walls after everyone breaks out of those motherfuckers? Like, they're spending all their money on repairing cell doors constantly.
A little lighting and some sweeping up is not something that's on their to-do list at the moment. Yeah.
Like, you saw how much they pay those motherfuckers to figure out how Harambe got out of his fucking cell, right? Imagine Arkham spends tons of money on fucking, specialists and, what's the word? What's the Bobs? What are they? What was their title from Office Space? The fuck they call them?
Efficiency managers?
No, people you hire from the outside to come in and help do shit. There's a term for that.
Contractors.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm really high and drunk.
I'm kind of drunk.
I'm getting there. Which is good.
Yeah. Makes me personable.
Spider-Man.
Just so you guys know, if you're watching this in the future, the end of the world started with a gorilla named Harambe.
Holy shit. Because, everything was fine and dandy until then.
That was God's second avatar on Earth. When we killed him, he's like, that's it. I've had enough. Fuck these people.
Done.
No, that was his play.
I'm not even going to flood it. They can do this them damn selves.
His play avatar, the one, like in Dogma, how he just randomly get a homeless person to go play skee-ball.
He's been a homeless person. He's been a Alanis Morissette, and he's been a monkey named Harambe. It's all been confirmed.
At this point, he's like, screw it.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Skee-ball's not worth this. So we open up the book with Carnage, getting a blood injection, and as soon as she pricks him, the symbiote just comes out, and he establishes a little bit later on in the book that when he was cut in their first battle, the symbiote kind of metabolized his blood.
He got into his bloodstream, yeah.
So basically, anytime he's cut, the symbiote will regenerate, which
and it can come out, yeah.
Kind of becomes a factor later on. I think continue on with the way Carnage ends up working, but like it's gonna be a hell of a way to kind of contain a son of a bitch if you can't let him bleed or let it, because he can just take a nail and like dig into his own skin until blood comes out. Like, so you'd have to like basically keep him like
bite his lip or something. Yeah.
There's nothing you could do.
Or you guys seen Attack on Titan? Just bite his thumb or whatever. Yeah.
You'd have to keep him sedated constantly if you want to keep him alive. If you didn't want to kill him, I would just at that point just fucking kill him. There's no way around it. Because I was actually questioning this, and like we start off, she goes to take the blood, and he escapes and just slaughters everybody in the room, and he's like, and just to warm up, I'm gonna go ahead and just kill every inmate here. Fuck it, Carnage doesn't care. Carnage is he's a worse version of the Joker, because Joker usually at least has even though he is kind of chaos or personified, is usually a little bit of a focus to the chaos.
Yeah, he has
focus is Batman. That's his focusing point. Carnage has no focusing point.
Well, he kind of got one a little later.
He wants to kill Spider-Man, but
at the same time, he just wants pretty much just to destroy everyone anyway, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, you're right. Joker kind of has more of a, I've got this in mind. I want to do this and this and this to get to this point, and whatever happens is just whatever.
The Joker wants to prove a point.
Yeah.
Carnage wants to kill Venom and Spider-Man because they thwarted him the first time. But
that's really it.
Other than his obsession with killing those two, it's just sheer fucking chaos.
Yeah.
Up until, kind of later on with the Cult of Carnage, Absolute Carnage. At that point in time, it's a lobotomized Cleus Cassidy corpse that's fucking being worn by the symbiote at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So Carnage himself, or Cleus Cassidy himself, is even more so than the Joker, someone who just wants to watch the world burn, I think. And man, I'm not much for the crossovers, but like having those two in the same universe would be horrific.
I don't know. It also depends like how they write it. Because like some of the what if stuff I've seen before with Marvel has been hit and miss. They had their crossovers before, like Hulk fought Superman, but it was like in a ring. Like It
Fuck
depends.
how they would write it. Let's just think about these people as actual creatures that exist.
If they actually kind of ran into each other, yeah, that'd be
just horrific to think those two creatures existing in the same universe.
Yeah, that would be pretty horrific. Actually, knowing like, well, I can't move here because I got a Joker problem. You can't move here because there's fucking Carnage.
Could you imagine if? So after Carnage busts out and starts tearing through the place, we get a cut to Harry Osborn's funeral.
Yeah.
This is right after he had taken up the mantle of the Green Goblin and tried to kill Spider-Man and MJ, and Spider-Man ended up killing him. So he's left a wife and child, little Normie Osborn, who later becomes the Red Goblin, or like Little Red Goblin or something like that, or something. No, there's a point where like at some point in time when Norman comes back, he gets the Carnage symbiote and he becomes Red Goblin, and like Normie becomes like a spawn of that. He becomes like his little sidekick evil version of that.
It's getting a little too convoluted for me. I never got this deep.
It is years down the line. Anyway, but
I also really did not like the whole Iron Patriot thing they did with Norman Osborn, and the whole like during Siege when Thor was rebuilding Asgard and everything.
Yeah.
And whenever they start crossing over a bunch of shit like that, it's like I kind of lose interest.
Well, it's also Norman Osborn should be old and decrepit at this point. If you've moved Peter Parker into adulthood, if he's not teenage Peter Parker anymore, then Norman Osborn's probably too old to be running around with these guys.
I agree. Yeah, but they never seem to age.
Well, he's got the whatever super serum is in him to make him the Green Goblin. So I guess he's
okay. I give like the super soldier kind of thing.
Yeah. I guess there's that. This scene didn't really do much except for give us a lot of exposition if you hadn't been reading anything, if you just jumped into this, because this is from Spider-Man Unlimited #1. So like if you didn't read any other Spider-Man book and you just jumped in on this, because these were specials that started 1 and 2. I mean, they're doing 22 of these, but 1 and 2 are the beginning and end of the series.
See, and that's the thing I had no idea about. I didn't know any of the backstory stuff. It started with the Osborn funeral, and I'm like, I don't know what this is about.
And it was exposition heavy, and there's a lot of thought bubbles, and it's very 90s, and 90s is very much still thinking about a lot of
inner monologue stuff.
But they're still thinking about the kid reader at this point in time.
They are.
Way more than the adult reader that we come to start thinking about now. Like comic books have kind of grown up with us a little bit, and we've kind of grown to the point where we can have comics that are for kids and then comics that are for the teenager and adult reader. But back in the day, when you're just worried about the kid, you gotta like, all right, let me give the backstory for anyone who didn't read anything before this point. The big story for this whole thing is the family emphasis. Peter dealing with being a husband to MJ and their life, and then the Osborns, and his wife and his son, who they felt like were family, but they ended up dying, and
they even lived in the same building together too.
Yeah, and it's about those relationships. And then Carnage, while Spider-Man's family's falling apart, Carnage starts to build his own family.
Exactly. I like that little yin yang thing going on. It's like as a hero is like losing everything, the villain is actually just building things up. So
we cut back to Carnage in Ravencroft, and he starts getting a cheering section from one of the padded rooms. He rips it open. There's Shriek. They're in a straitjacket. Of course, he busts her out because they flirt a little bit. And
I like that it took nothing really.
No, it was surprised he spared her, but I guess even a psychopath wants a main squeeze. After the funeral, we go back to MJ and Spider-Man's apartment, and she starts smoking, and he's like, that's bad for your health. He's like, well, maybe if fucking Harry had smoked, you wouldn't have been the Green Goblin. Like, I love her pro-smoking PSA. They're just casually lighting up throughout this entire thing.
The thing for me was I didn't like the PSA thing in the first place, but then again, comics are real heavy about that as it was, especially in the 90s too, because they were trying to stop kids from smoking. Don't do drugs.
Oh no, this didn't seem like an anti-smoking thing. Well, she told him to fuck off, and she just kept going with it. She was all smoking in every scene.
Well, it was at first because like the way I was reading it too, especially when Peter was telling her what was going on, is like, how bad that is for your lungs and it caused diseases. And like, man, you just read that.
He's like, hey, that's not good for your health. And she's like, don't lecture me. Your friend's dead. Everyone's dead.
He went pretty deep into it. He went like, if the Truth commercials were there, he would have gone that far with it. Did you
read this? It was like one blurb, sir. One little blurb. That
long of like him going through like, he wasn't.
We're going to pull this up right now. You're going to see how wrong you are.
He didn't go into the whole like emphysema. Like he didn't read the menu thing.
He goes, I know this is the right time for this right now, but do you think you should be having one of those? They're bad for your health. And she's like, fuck you. If Harry was a smoker, he
yeah.
wouldn't be dead. It's like, I don't think that's what you should take away from this, but all right.
Yeah, because while I liked her quick response of that, he went in pretty deep into the whole PSA thing. Like, it's bad for your lungs. And like, it felt really like Dare-esque. Like they had a hand in some of those lines.
I don't remember anything except for the first part when she started telling him to go fuck himself.
Oh, her telling him to fuck off, I actually liked more so. Because she had a really good damn point. Because like, oh, well, you want to bitch at me about, putting my life on the line because I have a cigarette. Well, what the fuck do you do every goddamn night? That I got behind that real quick because that made perfect sense. Like she has a good point.
So on her next, she just essentially wants Peter to take a break. She's like, I know you can't quit. I know you can't quit being Spider-Man. I know because he's like, I've tried to give up this responsibility before. I can't do it. She's like, I know. Just we need a chance to reset and calm down. Just 2 weeks off. We got done burying Harry. Just give me 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Go get some fucking Chinese food, which is what he goes to do. And then we pick
Don't
up.
forget the fortune cookies.
Yeah. Don't forget the fortune cookies. Yeah.
And then we pick up Carnage's the child for his new family group. He's already got the wife, and now they pick up a doppelganger.
The doppelganger Spider-Man, yeah.
And smack him around a little bit, and he ends up towing the line. Carnage is going to kill him, but Shriek's like, no, I want a pet. And he's like, all right, we'll keep it if it makes you happy. But you guys play together for a little while. I've got something to attend to. And he screws off for a little bit.
I'm also interested in how, maybe it's just like one of the nitpicky things about me here, but it became the pet for Shriek really quick and easy, considering, especially when you're reading the comic, it's stronger and faster than Spider-Man is already, plus the extra arms, plus its webbing is, razors. It's like barbed wire webbing.
Uh-huh.
And it's just going to like, okay, I'll be your pet. It seems a little weird to me.
Carnage kind of beat it into fucking submission, and its primary instinct is not to kill them, it's to kill Spider-Man.
Okay, because maybe I don't know much about the character. I know he kind of goes into like the Infinity Wars a bit, and how he had doppelgangers, and
he says enough that we need to know, and that's that it's a dark doppelganger from a different universe or an alien doppelganger, and that it wants to snuff out the original Spider-Man and take its place or whatever.
Okay,
kind of
so
like as a doppelganger would.
Yeah, that doesn't make a little more sense then.
Which is why he just throws her off the roof later on and goes back for a Spider-Man. He's like, you're out of harm's way enough, and then heads off back to his primary target.
Yeah.
And also Carnage showed that he was vastly superior, and it's basically a beast. You can dominate a beast. You can dominate a dog, a wolf, or you just.
That makes more sense because I didn't take him as that. I took him as something a little bit more than I guess he really is. I gave him more credit than he's worth.
He's mostly instinctual.
And that's what I didn't really take from that, because it seemed like, especially when Spider-Man was fighting him later, it seemed a lot more like it's all around a little bit more. There's more going on than they make it look.
Well, he has a twisted, like I said, he's got enhanced versions of his abilities. He's stronger, he's faster, he's got the barbed webbing, like we said, but he's still dumb.
It's very primal.
He's still very primal.
Very primal.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do get us after, Carnage fucks off, Spider-Man's out getting the fortune cookies and shit, and he sees on the news that there's, been murders on Ravencroft, everyone's been slaughtered, and
said it's like 80 people? No, 50 people. Like around 50 people, I think, at Ravencroft.
Yeah. And as he's zooming off towards it, Shriek takes a pot shot at him, and he gets in a fight with Shriek and Doppelganger on the rooftop.
Right.
And I forgot how much action were in these books, man. There's a lot of action in these.
There was a lot more than I expected to see, because I remember reading it before, but I guess it's been a long time. But yeah, the action is pretty nonstop, actually, through at least these first three. It gets consistent.
Yeah, and I would say that in the second book, especially when Cloak and Dagger involved, it gets a little confusing as from scene to scene what's going on.
It does. Yeah, I got it just because you can kind of tell, especially like when you're reading what's going on.
Well, when you get to the next panel and something happens, you're like, I didn't see that happen visually, but you just explained it in text.
You're able to infer it.
Like,
yeah,
that's fine.
The inference is there, but it moves really quick.
It does.
It's very quick.
It does, but it also feels like we go to a lot of places. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of back and forth. There's respites. There's ups and there's downs. And already I feel like in these first three books, I've done more than what happened in all of Absolute Carnage. And we'll get to that later on, because that's where this is going to go. We're going to do Maximum Carnage, and then we'll finish with Absolute Carnage, and we'll do a compare and contrast video. But what we take away from the fight with the Doppelganger and Shriek, other than the fact that Spider-Man knocks Shriek out with the finger, which is a great,
that was cool. Just bap.
It shouldn't hurt you too much. I don't want to hit a lady, but doink, and just knocks her out the finger tap of doom. Like Hulk Hogan couldn't have done it better.
Yes.
Finger poke of doom.
Oh God. Sad. I got that reference.
I'm
And
glad you
I'm
did.
not even big into wrestling if I get that reference.
That's because tragedy knows no bounds.
Shriek is not 7 foot tall though.
And she didn't beat up fucking Punisher around his apartment for a while.
I love that was Kevin. Also, he was the Super Shredder as well in Ninja Turtles 2.
That's right, he was. Kevin Nash was Super Shredder.
He was Super Shredder.
These are all Kevin Nash jokes for anyone who wasn't following. After he knocks out Shriek, though, Peter takes Doppelganger, like flying drop kick to the ribs, which kicks him off the building. He lands like 3 stories below, just bouncing off the.
That was a really good illustration too.
Yeah, him
the
like
kick and him bouncing off the walls. Oh, that was actually really well done.
But if you've read the series all before, you know that, spoiler alert, guys, here a little bit, that rib injury plays a major part in everything going forward. That's going to ache him the entire time. He's fractured a bunch of his ribs, and that's where we leave Peter Parker at this point. Doppelganger and Shriek. You know, Doppelganger grabs Shriek. He's trying to protect her, and he gets her to safety, and they swing away. And then Peter's just left like gasping for air, broken at the bottom of the alleyway with basically all of his ribs shattered. MJ's at home wondering where the fuck the fortune cookies are. And Carnage is.
And she knows something up too. It's like, he hasn't been home yet.
And then
there's reason. Something's up. And then
she turns on the TV.
Yeah, she turns the TV on, sees the news report, and she's like, I don't need fortune cookies to know where you're at, Peter. I know exactly what you're doing. But we end this one with Jane Jonah Jameson, you know, doing his usual Spider-Man's minutes talk. Thing. And he opens.
Give me pictures of Spider-Man.
Well, he's told by his second in command, basically. He's like, hey, the cops came by because, you know, Carnage is loose and that guy kidnapped you once. She's like, Carnage is loose? I'm going to Paris. And as soon as he opens his office door,
he just comes through the window.
Well, he's already there.
Yeah, he's already in there. He's in the office. Yeah.
Yeah. Carnage is sitting on his desk. That's how we end this one. He's like, you know, I'm going on a Venom hunt and you're going to help me.
Yep.
So, and that's how we close out this Spider-Man Unlimited #1. And it's our kickoff to to Maximum Carnage, one of the best story arcs of the 90s. Again, it spawned a video game. If it were
very hard video game for that matter. I don't think I ever beat it.
No, I got to about where you could use Venom and couldn't get past Venom's first level.
I never beat it. Yeah, I could never get past that.
It's like the water level on Ninja Turtles Nintendo game.
Oh my God, you have to disarm
with
the
bombs?
Seaweed.
Yeah. Terrible.
Talk about that another day. We should talk about Ninja Turtle games next time.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, that's happening. I got closer to the mic. That's happening.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for joining us. That was part 1 of Maximum Carnage. We'll be back later on this week for part 2. Any final thoughts on this issue?
I like the way it ended. I love the cliffhanger. I like seeing where things are going to go.
Yeah, and they spread this story across, 3 different comics and, 4 if you count the Unlimited series here. But I mean, they had 3 different ones running at the time, so you might as well spread it around, get some views for everybody. And there wasn't a drop off a lot between the quality between the different runs and stuff. So I mean, it all feels pretty cohesive. So I don't know why spread it out other than let everyone have a taste.
Yeah, right.
But I really enjoyed the kickoff. You got a lot of bloodshed from Carnage to let you know that stakes are high. He's racking things up by collecting a team already. And Spider-Man is just, his wife didn't want him to fight anymore. He's got bad ribs and shit's just getting more and more fucked. So,
yeah. Which is the way a Spider-Man story should be too. He's always the underdog.
He needs to be on the ropes.
Always on the ropes. Yeah.
Way more interesting that way. Good way to kick it off. Again, this is one of my favorite storylines. So, can't wait to keep going with this, man. And we'll see you guys all for part 2. Say hi to your mother for me.